Okay, I'd like to call you Your Majesty.
Your Highness, and then ma'am. That works fine. Or Joan.
Or Joan. I'm going to call you Joan. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? There were 2 daughters, weren't there?
There were 2 daughters, and I wasn't neither the pretty one nor the smart one.
Okay.
That was my sister. But my childhood really, usually comedians, have terrible childhoods. I had a very nice childhood. My father was a physician. My mother was a house mother who cared about us. We lived in a good suburb. We went to good schools. I mean, it was all fine.
Was there a lot of laughter in your household?
My father was very, very funny. And that's why I think it's all about genetics and DNA. My father would come home, and he was a wonderful doctor, and he would do imitations of all his patients. Hey, doctor, And so my father was very funny, and there was laughter. And just the usual growing up. I was not an attractive child, and I think that's where it went wrong. But the humor came out.
Oh, I think that's where it went right, possibly.
Well, thank God now.
Yeah. Was your sister funny?
My sister still is funny. My sister's a lawyer, and I think she wins her cases half on very smart. She's very, very, very smart, my sister. But I think she also makes the judge laugh. And so that, humor gets you through everything.
Absolutely. Did you feel safe and encouraged to perform inside the family? Did you make people laugh?
I knew I had the power, and it is a power. I was on a fishing trip with my father, maybe 8 years old, and it was all doctors. My dad took me. And I remember at dinner making them laugh, and they weren't laughing at me. I knew at that age they were laughing with me, and I thought, this is terrific. And so I was funny from the beginning, but never putting a hat on funny. It was always a wit.
And did you perform at all when you went to school? Were you in any kind of formal plays or anything like that?
I was an actress from the time my eyes opened, and I knew I wanted it. But I was a very serious actress. It was always tragic. And I grew up during the war, and I would do a lot of fantasies that I was a spy.
Very exotic.
A little fat, ugly spy.
Were you fat?
I was a chubby, yes.
Were you really fat?
Yes.
Or were you your version of fat?
No.
Which, remember, I see it a whole other way.
No, because somebody wrote in my yearbook, so round, so firm, so fully packed is how we all think of you.
Wow. Did that upset you?
Upset me. Benjamin Freed. I'm still going to get you.
Unforgiven.
Unforgiving.
So did that prevent you from people from asking you to be in any kind of plays at school?
It prevented me from a social life. It prevented me from being the pretty girl. It prevented me from all those kind of things. The acting, it never stopped me because luckily I came to school and no one was attractive.
Excellent. You went to a very ugly school.
I was a very lucky girl. So they might as soon use Joan as somebody else.
And did you have, in senior school, were you in a group of friends? Did you have a group of girlfriends?
I was never in the in-group, ever. I was always an outsider, as I still am today.
Really?
But I had friends, but it didn't matter, because I was like a racehorse. I mean, I wanted to go into the theater, and I wanted to be on the stage. So it didn't matter if I was in the in-group. It didn't matter if I got invited to the party. I truly was, it was like a calling.
And so do you think then you were using humour as a defence? I mean, that's a bit of an old chestnut.
I always used humour. I remember I went to one of the little dances, you went to dancing school, and my very good friend Joan and I were not asked to dance, so we spread the rumor we had polio.
So it was impossible for you to get up and
that no one wanted to embarrass us.
Did you find that you could attract guys by being funny or not?
No, that's where it stopped. No, men don't want you too funny.
Why is that, do you think?
I think they're terrified that you might be smarter than they are, or brighter than they are, or cleverer than they are, or wittier. No, I think a man has to be terribly secure.
So did you have to temper your natural wit then if you were flirting?
Oh, I still do.
Do you?
I still do.
But it's kind of out there now, Joan. People know that that's a fact about you.
And I think it turns a lot of men off. A lot of people introduce me to their friends as she's not what she's like on television.
Oh, no. So does it have to be a gradual revelation of the...
I think it has to be only when I'm really secure with someone that I really am funny. I'm very quiet with people, very, as most of us are.
And are you naturally funny in your real life? Or do you save that stuff for stage?
I am the hostess's nemesis. They think, oh, we'll just sit Joan down there and she'll be so amusing. And when I don't know people, I do not talk. Never mind, not amusing. I write at this age questions that maybe I could ask them at the table.
Do you?
So, what do you think?
I love that. I love that about you. That's so great.
Write them down. So you could see a lot of hostesses don't ask me twice.
Do you react against the fact that you're being required to be the jester?
Being asked to be the jester is a double-edged sword. I'm upset when people expect me to be the jester, and I don't like that. But the minute someone's in trouble, that's my job. And I know that's my job. And I've had friends that are dying, and I just call them up and make them laugh. That's my job.
And do you take great pleasure in being able to do that?
Yes, because I think that's why I'm put on earth. I remember once my husband was going to the hospital, and a friend of mine reminded me, and he was in great pain. He had had a blockage. And I said to him, Edgar, jokes or no jokes? And he said, no jokes. Swell.
So have you got girlfriends that will call you up to be cheered up?
Yes, my girlfriends call me up to be cheered up, and that's exactly what I do.
Who cheers you up, Joan?
No one.
Can I have that job?
I beg you. I lost my very good friend this year who used to call me. I'm in a terrible state now. There's no one.
But you have a funny daughter.
Very different humor.
Okay.
My daughter and I do not laugh at the same things. She gets what I'm saying, but we don't sit down and giggle together. Just doesn't happen.
Did she ever mind you being funny when she was growing up? Did she tell you off for it?
She didn't tell me off because I was very careful. I left her totally out of the act, except in a very positive way, as I did with my husband. I never made jokes about my husband. I was always the fool. On the wedding night, I was the one that I took the bag off my head and he jumped, you know. I think she didn't like her mother being funny. You're terribly embarrassed when your mother is falling down and doing all kinds of stupid things. I think it was very hard for her.
Did you use humor to help you discipline her?
Yes. I think comedy is such a wonderful, not weapon is the wrong word. If you make somebody laugh, it just takes...
Dilutes it.
Dilutes it totally.
And did it work with her, though, with your kid?
Yes, it worked with her most of the time.
I need tips on that, then, because my kid really balks at that.
How old is she?
14.
Mine left home.
Really?
And as she was leaving, I said, you can't come back unless you're invited. It was fun.
It is tricky, but I thought one of the great things about being a parent was that I'd be quite a funny parent. I'm prepared to be a bit like a kid and have a nice time, but she really doesn't want that.
No, but your grandchildren will.
Okay, so I've got a bit of waiting to do.
My daughter wants me to be mother. And she wanted me always to be mother and not to be the clown. She wanted me to be mom, and I was the one she came to. And yes, we did use humor, but it was not, there was a lot of discipline. Now, my grandson knows I'm a fool and goes with it, and we have the best time, and it upsets my daughter, because we're just laughing, because I'm in a restaurant and I have 7 things on my head, you know, and things I did not do with her.
Tell me, what do you have in your passport as your occupation?
I know I've never put down entertainer. I've always put down writer, usually writer.
Is that because you wouldn't put comic? You wouldn't put comedian?
No, that's the lowest form. The lowest form. She's a comic. It's the lowest form. No.
What is it about that? Do you not consider comedy to be a legitimate job?
I don't consider comedy to be an art form, even though it is.